delicious divinity. It is great to be here with you. Oh my God, I'm late, but whatever. I'm here. I just needed to spend the time that I needed to spend after my meditation making notes because it was really profound, and wow is all I can say. And it changed me, and these things you got to write down, because in the process of writing you remember and you recall and you fire it and wire it, and that was important because this was an important morning for me. So it is very mizzly and sort of lightly drizzly rainy out there, and I didn't even get to the top of the hill. Good morning, beautiful people. Good morning, Sing Marie. So I'm inside with the rocks, and they're unusual little rocks today. This is stitch-tight. And I don't know how well you can see it. It's this funny thing. It feels a bit soapy. It's got a really sort of smooth and delicious surface to play with, and it's kind of purple and kind of silvery. And I don't know how close I can get. It's difficult to show the detail on it, but it feels really nice when you hold on to it. This is just a little piece. This is kind of related to something that's a bit micaceous because it sort of has layers, but it's something else. And it's fabulous. It's stitch tight, and I love it. Julian, good morning. And good morning, Lynn. I know you're there too. So there it is. That's our first little stone today. This is called angel glass. It isn't a stone per se, it's manufactured. And man, in this light, if I catch it right, it almost looks like ordinary glass. But if I get it right, you can see it's sort of got this beautiful pearly, rainbowy thing going on. It was given to us by a friend, and it's just a lovely thing to hold and stroke and just enjoy. And there it is. So, beautiful stone. Not stone, glass. And this is the one we're probably going to spend a little more time on. This is tourmaline, and isn't it fabulous? It's so shiny and sparkly, and it's got all these facets. It's a little bit like a cityscape, really. Just catching the light on it. It's beautiful. And you can look at that for a long time, be quite mesmerized by it. And then, you can see the shape. That's, part of a termination there, a proper termination, two facets. And then this part is sort of fractured. And there's the other side, which is a little bit more like a largish crystal, but it's got holes in it. And it's just fab. I love this thing. So there it is, black tourmaline, Schorl tourmaline, S-C-H-O-R-L. It's a very German word. I don't actually know what it means, but I know that's one name for black tourmaline. And there it is. So those are our rocks for today, inside out of the rain. And good morning, everybody. Facebook isn't necessarily telling me who you are or that you're here, but I know you're here, and I speak to you also if you are watching the replay, because you're just as much here as if you were here in quote-unquote real time, because we are all quantumly entangled. We share energy, we share intention and attention, and that binds us together through space and time. And that's actually a very appropriate way into the conversation today. Because the conversation really is about old pain, old trauma, old memories that yank us back into the past, that keep us stuck in the past. And the context for this conversation is a question that somebody asked me, and part of the question was the fact that there's this very painful experience that I had in my past, and I moved 3,000 miles away from the people that perpetuated that experience, and it hasn't made any difference. And we sort of think, oh my God, time is the healer. I'll get away from it, I'll remove myself from that stimulus, all of those things, but it doesn't seem to heal it. Now, why is that? Why is it like it's still there? Why is it so in your awareness, never mind your face? What's going on? And what's going on is that anything that is that much part of what's defined you. Anything that has branded you emotionally and energetically and emotionally that way for a long period of time is no longer being caused. Your experience is not being caused by whatever actually happened, however long ago it was. And I was just listening to my inspiration, Joe Dispenza, yesterday because I was listening to a few testimonials. No, I was listening to him on Dr. Joe Live, and this was like, a few weeks ago. And now I got to listen to the replay just yesterday. It was so good. And he was answering someone's question about something, and I can't remember what it was. I got to listen again because it was so good. But he says it with a bit of laughter in his voice. There's so much research. There really is. There's so much research to show that we make up our long-term memories. That whatever it was that happened to us back then isn't actually how we remember it for two reasons. It was a long time ago, but mainly you don't have the same brain. You do not have the same brain, and every time you have an experience and then you have something else that adds to it or relates to it or sort of reminds you of it, or that reminds you of something else, you make more connections in your brain. You literally change the brain that had the experience. And so the further away from it you are, the less it's about whatever happened, and the more it becomes until it's entirely about the fact that it's tattooed, as Joe would say, in the recesses of your brain is a set of synaptic connections which have an associated chemistry that goes with them. And when you fire that set of synaptic connections, you get the chemistry, and it just feels like right now, because the chemistry is the same as it was when it was right now. From your body's point of view, it is right now, because it's having the chemical experience, which you would call an emotion. So this is how we get mired in the past. And the reason why it goes off all the time when those people are 3,000 miles away, or the traumatic event, the person died 10 years ago and you're still mired in grief or whatever it is because there are all these things and people and places in your environment or in your memory that remind you of that original thing. There are triggers in the environment, whether it's internal or external, and a lot of those triggers you're not even aware of. But your brain, because it was traumatic, whatever it was, has taken a snapshot and said everything in this situation we need to try to avoid. So the brain is constantly looking around to see what it needs to avoid. G'day, Andrea! And if it sees or smells or hears or touches or senses or tastes anything in the environment that is just in the least bit similar to the stuff in the snapshot, and remember that snapshot gets enriched every time it has something similar go on, which is how it changes, along with a whole lot of other stuff, the same neural net goes off again and you have the same chemical experience. That's what happens. That's how we get stuck, because there's all of these triggers. And that's just having a brain and being human and having an experience. And that is why the original people who caused the problem, if you like, who allowed you to have the experience. G'day, Abigail! The people who co-created the experience with you, and that's all I'm going to say. Mike, good morning! Because I don't want to talk about, all of that stuff. They can be dead and gone. And it doesn't matter. Because it's alive in you. It's in your brain and it's in your body. And you carry that memory in your brain and in your body and actually in the field that you emit, which is the broadcast to the universe. It says, hey, universe, this is who I'm being today. Give me more of this. Short version. That's you. It's you now. It's your identity. It's physically in your brain. It's in your chemistry. It's who you think you are. And every time you experience something in your environment that reminds you of that, off it goes again. The program runs again and you feel it again. And that's why it doesn't matter that you moved, or it was 55 years ago, or the person's dead, or, you did all the rituals and you burned the letters and it doesn't matter as long as you continue to put your attention and your awareness and your energy into what happened and how you feel about it, you keep it going. We get stuck in these things. Me too, okay? And I'm not talking about deep trauma or anything I can say, oh my God, that was horrible and it branded me for life. Because that's what happens, right? People do that because they think that's how it is and they don't know that they can change. But, my little things, I can't say anybody did it to me. I did it to myself. But it was equivalent to trauma in terms of how limiting it's been. And I'm moving out of it. Yeah, Abigail, you're noticing the fact that I'm changing. I am changing at a rate of knots. I had a powerful experience in the unified field this morning. Energy and divinity and presence and wow. It was really potent and powerful. And it's changed me. So anybody who's aware will notice that. So well done. G'day, Holly, sweetie. Good evening to you. I know it's evening now because you told me for you. So this is how we get stuck in the past. This is the facts. And the only thing that's good about those facts is that it means that we can change. It means that, oh, I was raped, or I had an abusive childhood, or I married somebody who terrorized me for the next however long, or I had a terrible sickness, I lost a limb, or I went to the war and I've come back with PTSD. All of those things are undeniably dreadful experiences. But what this information means, and it's neuroscience, it's neuroplasticity, it's psychoneuroimmunology, it's epigenetics, it's a whole lot of stuff. What it means is that we can change. We do not have to allow those situations and those experiences to continue to define us for the rest of our lives. Now, here is the thing that many people do. They hear this and they get information, they go and they even, they go and read Joe Dispenza's books and go, wow, that's amazing. I didn't know that was true. Those are incredible stories. People healed themselves of, terrible things and wow, it's all possible. And the brain intellectually is saying, gee, that's great. I love that. Let's go do it, right? And you think about it and you make a decision and you get inspired and that's all cool. But what you got to remember is that your thinking brain, anything you are thinking about, anything you are deciding intellectually about, anything you are consciously aware of with your eyes open, moving through the world about, doesn't matter. If you are awake and aware, that is 5% of who you are that you're using. The other 95% is in your subconscious and your unconscious. And you can't use this 5% to change the other 95%. It doesn't work. And people push shit uphill for years. They do talk therapy, they do every modality, they do all the diets, they do everything, but they're thinking and they're using matter to change something that you just have to get past the thinking analytical brain. And as Joe says, you've got to get into your own operating system and change that. And I'm speaking from experience when I say he's absolutely right. You can stand on your head and fart pink and nothing will change until you get out of the 5% and into the 95% and start to be able to make changes there. There's no other way to do it. So that is actually the message of hope, though, that you actually can. So how do you get unstuck? You have to stop trying to work it out, finding all the reasons, analysing the thing, running away from the problem, thinking, oh, if I just do this, it'll be better. Using the 5% to change the 95%. You got to stop doing that. There's nothing wrong with using your mind. Okay, I'm not saying to sit there and, chant Om and do nothing for the next however long. We have to continue to work in and be in the three-dimensional world. G'day, Laura! But to really create ourselves, we have to get past 3 dimensions. We have to move out of the conscious mind and into the subconscious mind. And to do that, and the unconscious. Because your body is your unconscious mind, by the way. Your body is your unconscious mind. It does things for you unconsciously. Like walking and your skills and your job and driving and waking up in the morning and brushing your teeth and going to the toilet and eating. It does all that for you. G'day, Louise! That's you with the angel wings. Yay, it's lovely to know who you are. So, if you are able to think, if you're processing thoughts, if you're figuring stuff out, you're in the conscious mind and nothing is really going to change. You can make choices, you can execute change in 3 dimensions. But in terms of changing yourself and getting out of those painful patterns that have persisted no matter what you've done, nothing's really going to happen. So you have to find a way to slow your brain down out of beta, right? At the moment, all of us here are relating to each other in beta brainwaves. Beta brainwaves are anything from 12 to about 50 cycles a second. There's 3 stages of beta. Low beta, which is where I'm at and most of you are at, and we're just chilling out and hanging out and having a conversation. That's low beta. It's conscious awareness. The world outside of you is more real to you than the world inside of you. And the brain is processing information, but you're relaxed. Now, if we were in a room together and I said to you, look, I'm going to set you a test and you can't leave the room until you've passed the test. We're going to be marking you out of 10, on what we've just been talking about. You can't leave until we've got that right. You would perk up your brain, you'd pay more attention, and that you would be then in medium beta. It's good stress, it's good excitement, it's you're going to perform, or you're going to do something that requires more attention, or you're driving in fast traffic, or whatever it is, you're at speed. That's medium beta, and that's, what did I say, 15 to 18, 19 cycles a second. High beta is stress. High beta is when you are fighting or fleeing or freezing, when your blood flow has gone away from the rational mind and it's gone to the hindbrain, and you are purely concerned with preserving yourself, your body, how quickly you can get where you need to go in your environment, the body, the environment, and time. That's what happens when you're in high beta. And in states of beta, you can't change the operating system, because the operating system, you're not even connected to it. You're just busy processing information from the external world. No effect on your internal world. So to have an effect in your internal world, you've got to slow your brain down. You've got to get into alpha brain waves at the very least. Alpha is 8 cycles a second to 11 cycles a second. And that's the world where you're dreaming and you're relaxed and, you're just imagining, and your inner world starts to become more real than your external world. You're going within. You're not really, really deep, but you're just relaxed and you're just dreaming and thinking internally and imagining. And it's a creative state, right? You make stuff up there if you're dreaming up art, or if you're like me and you're planning your garden changes. It all happens in alpha. Below alpha, 4 cycles to 8 cycles a second is theta. Theta is magic land. Theta is awesome place. Theta is between sleep and waking. Theta is where you go when you're just drifting off to sleep and you're neither awake nor asleep. The body's asleep, the mind is still awake a little bit. You dream, right? And you can learn to stay consciously awake in theta. And in theta you can create, because the conscious mind is gone. There's nobody home. The identity is gone to sleep. And all of your awareness is in the unconscious and the subconscious parts of the brain. And I know when I am there, in 3D you have to really apply will to make choice. You have to choose to overcome yourself. You have to choose to, you have to get up and do things and make stuff happen. 3 dimensions. Something I realized just a few days ago. When I am in 5D, when I am in my unconscious operating system, when my brain is slow enough that there is no conscious thought going on and I am just awareness, I don't need any will at all. All there is my thought. It's effortless there. It's utterly effortless to have the thought of who I'm choosing to be. And to be that, long as I keep my brain really slow. And my body is asleep. So my body's not in the picture either. It stopped fighting. It stopped being agitated. It stopped being afraid. All of that's just gone. And I'm just awareness. And I can just choose to become somebody else. Slowing my brain down, paying attention, opening my focus. And that's a whole, that's what happens. But to do that, I can move into a state of being there. That is literally impossible for me to move into when I'm awake and talking to you, because my identity is up and running and the filters are there and I'm perceiving the world through whoever I'm being and whatever I'm used to doing and being. To get so deep that my body doesn't even exist. There's nothing to resist because the sensory motor cortex in my brain has turned off and there is no information coming from there. There's only my awareness, and I'm in my emotional brain and I'm in my reptilian brain. That's where the awareness and the energy is, and there I can make changes. Nothing else exists. And in that place, I can make a change like what you noticed, Abigail. It is the void. And to create myself there, where all of the neurological nets that relate to that person that's 3,000 miles away that still really was painful to me, or the neurological nets that say, no, you're not worthy of the future that you desire. You can't do that. Who the hell are you to want to do that? All of those neurological nets are just shut off. There's nothing there. I'm not there anymore. I'm just awareness, and I'm in my operating system. I'm in my unconscious. I'm connected to the collective unconsciousness, and all of the information, the unified field, whatever you want to call it, is available to me, and I can source and create from there. That is where I want to be, to creating your future. Because the past literally doesn't exist. And when I come back from having connected with that, in some way I'm different. Because I've had a new experience. And experience enriches the brain. Experience makes the brain go, oh, this is different. I better make some new neural connections to remember this. And I better have some chemistry so that I remember this, because the chemistry helps us remember how it feels. We remember things better because we know how they feel. And that changes me. From 1 hour to the next in this process, I change. That's how powerful it is when you can get out of your conscious mind, stop having to do anything, and become who you choose to be. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. We don't need to get away from anybody or anything except ourselves. And the way to do that is to simply have the brain not even be awake. And then you can become somebody else. So, big love. Thank you so much for sharing with me today. I appreciate your input, every one of you. It's Monday, Sunday for many. Big love. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.